Hey stars, it's me, Charter Star, and I'm back. I hope you guys are having a great beginning of your work week. And I'm having a coconut rum with pineapple with a little cherry juice. Okay. I want to also continue to thank you guys for continuing to grind with me with this YouTube channel. But I need you guys to like, comment, and share. I constantly ask you to comment because I can't give you what you want if you don't tell me what you want. You know what I mean? Um, do you want me to do TV reviews, TV show reviews? Do you want me to do movie reviews? I mean, there's a lot of things that we can do, but I need to hear from you. I mean, I have a couple of thousand people watching my things, but I may have 10 comments. I really need to know, you know, what you guys want. Okay, listen. So we're gonna start this segment off with it's a strange story coming out of New York, and let's get into it. Okay, it states New York City woman had abortion at 20 weeks after paternity tests, only to find out that the lab tests were wrong. Again, New York City woman had abortion at 20 weeks after paternity tests, only to find out that the lab tests were incorrect. Okay. I've actually heard of this before, but this story has its own thing going on. You know what I mean? And hmm, let's see. Let's see. Um, okay, so this starts with a 28-year-old administrative assistant from Yonkers, right? Her and her fiance have been trying to have a baby for quite a while. They're doing all the tests. They're following her with an ovulation schedule, everything, but no luck, no child, right? So after trying for so long, they became frustrated and they decided that they needed a break from one another. So last summer, they took a 3 week break. Okay. Well, during that 3 week break, the woman decided to have relations with someone else. Okay. The woman. Now, again, this breakup was for 3 weeks. Somewhere within the 3 weeks, she slept with someone else. Um, and that was July. Well, after the 3 weeks, her and her fiance got back together. Well, in August, she finds out that she's pregnant. So she's convinced that it's her fiance's, but she knows that there's always a small chance that it could be the guy that she slept with. But she's pretty sure it's not him because they used a condom. You know, they did everything that they were supposed to do. And she says it was just one time. Um, but again, with that one point of uncertainness, she decided to get a paternity test. However, she still didn't want her fiance to know that she had slept with someone during their 3 week break. So what she did was she went and got the guy, apparently the guy that she slept with, they know each other, and she went with him to get a paternity test to find out if it was his child. Well, they did the paternity test, and the paternity test came back that it is his child and not the fiance's. Well, the fiance's haven't been tested, but allegedly she claims it's only been her fiance and it's been this other guy that she knows. So, doing the right thing, she told her fiance what had occurred. She had to, and he left her. It was too much for him. He had been trying and he wanted a baby by her. And the time that they take a break and she sleep with someone else, she gets pregnant. That has to be something to your man's ego to a point. But okay. Well, she decided after her fiance left her and broke up with her that she didn't want to carry the baby, the other guy's baby. She didn't love him. She wasn't with him. It was a one shot, one time deal. So she had an abortion at 20 weeks. So she had the paternity test. The paternity test stated that the guy that she came to be tested was the father. She told her fiance what she should have. He broke up with her and left her. She decided she didn't want to carry a child by this man that she didn't love and wasn't with. So she had an abortion 20 weeks in. Well, she finds out 3 weeks after that that the test results were wrong. He was not the baby's father, which would lead you to believe that her fiance was actually the baby's father. So now she's lost the love of her life, her fiance. She has got rid of the baby, and now she's suing. This a Bronx and Ohio-based DNA diagnostic center, um, Win Health Labs in the Bronx, an Ohio-based DNA diagnostic center. I'm sorry, guys, but this is, I don't know how many guys you may have heard of Win Health Labs in the Bronx. Again, they made the mistake, so now she filed a lawsuit, and rightfully so. I don't know anybody that did a paternity test, but I don't know if you actually sign a waiver when you do that, because mistakes can happen and cross contamination, just anything can happen. But what I don't understand is, and please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, if this woman was so sure that her fiance was the father, well, that could have been deceptive too, because it could have ended up he wasn't the father, and it's a messy situation. But again, now she lost her fiance. She doesn't have her baby, and now she's filing a lawsuit. And I think it's the correct thing to do. It won't bring back her relationship, and it definitely won't bring back her baby. But you know, at least they'll have to pay to do something. Wow, I don't know. Now that I'm thinking of it even more, I'm like, wow, why? That's a lot. That's a lot. Okay. Well, a decorated TSA agent died after someone opened fire on her car while her and her two children were traveling in Miami. This happened at 1 o'clock in the morning, and a car drove up to the young woman and her two kids and just shot up the car. No one knows why. They're investigating. We don't know if it has something to do with being a TSA agent, something that happened at the airports, somebody she turned in or didn't. It could be it could be have something to do with a job, or it could be something personal. We doubt it was random, because who actually just drives up to someone's car and just light it up? You know what I mean? So I don't know, but they state that everybody loved this young lady. Apparently, I do have a picture of her. She's a beautiful young lady, and now her two children are now fighting for their lives. She lost her life, but her daughter seemed to have gotten the the worst of it, because I believe she's had numerous surgeries trying to fix or correct whatever it is that's wrong with her. So, we have to continue to keep her family in prayer. Now, the grandmother is going to have to continue to raise the children. One is 11 years old, and I don't quite know what the other age of the boy is, but the little girl is 11 years old, and she's already undergone numerous surgeries. The family is asking for whomever did this, if it was a mistake, or something. And when I say mistake, they mean wrong car. Oh, that car looked like such and such's car. That type of mistake, to turn themselves in. I don't think that will happen as far as people just turning themselves in, but I think that the world that we lived in, anything that's done on the roads and on the streets are pretty much recorded. I mean, most places we go, they can track our cars through the traffic cameras and everything else. So I don't understand why they're having such a hard time with this, being that Miami is pretty known for, this type of activity. Okay. So I don't know if you guys know, but what day was it? What day did this happen? I'm trying to remember what day this happened, but there was another small plane crash in Boca Raton, Florida. I believe it was on Friday, last Friday. Yeah. I'm right. Last Friday, this plane crashed in Boca Raton, and unaliving all three people on the plane. Um, Seriously, guys, this is happening way too often, and I'm being serious without even being catty or for a kiki. Um, if it's not every other day, it's every other day that we're hearing about a plane crashing, a helicopter crashing. planes are being diverted someplace else because something is going wrong. An engine blew, a tire blew, the landing gear won't come down. We've heard it all. Airplanes coming in for landings and helicopters taking off and crashing into one another. We have pretty much heard it all. And mind you, we're only in April. We're 4 months into this year, and we've had so many air incidents, meaning with aircraft, planes and helicopters and private planes. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I'm flying anywhere this particular anytime near soon. And usually by now I would be on my first vacation and working on my second at this point. I think I'm just going to take it easy because I don't need to be stressed out. I'm the type, I'll be stressed out the entire flight, going and coming. And I don't want that type of stress. It's too much. It's too much. Okay. So now I know we've been talking about it. Well, we haven't been talking about it. This is actually the first time I'm talking to you guys since the helicopter crash in the Hudson River last week, right? But we do know that it was a family, a mother, a dad, and 3 kids, and the helicopter pilot who was African American, and I believe he was 38 years old and was with the Marines allegedly, I think. But yeah, he's so. So we do know that the helicopter took off from Wall Street Heliport, and it only was in the air, from what I understand, anywhere between 13 to 15 minutes before allegedly the propeller started to come apart. And they said that with the propeller coming apart, it hit part of the propeller that came off hit the tail end of the helicopter, which just made it go out of control. And that's the videos that we've seen. I'm not going to show the video, but this is what we've seen. It just spinning, and then crashing into the Hudson River upside down. Allegedly, there were 2 people alive when they reached them, but they passed away at the hospital, and they never made it clear what 2 people. Was it the parents? Was it the kids? Was it a pilot and the parent? They never said. They just said 2 people were alive when they, started to retrieve things and people from the water, but they passed away at the airport. At the hospital, sorry. But while researching this, right, I found out, of course, we know that the dad is the CEO, right? Dad is the CEO of Siemens, right? And I remember we used to have Siemens furniture, but that's not this, of course. I think growing up we had Siemens, I believe, yeah, the J.C. Penney's and all that stuff. Nevertheless, well, the mother of the family that was unalive during the helicopter crash. It says mom killed in Hudson River helicopter crash was from FC Barcelona soccer dynasty. Well, she apparently the mom is from, they're from Spain. And apparently she's from a very wealthy family. They are heavily affiliated with their biggest soccer team there in Barcelona in Spain. And apparently her father, her grandfather, and her great-grandfather, they have all been presidents of this particular soccer club. So, I'm sure it's a great loss to her friends and her family and the country there. But I also found out while I was researching this, being that the dad is the CEO of Siemens in his sector, right? Well, I'm not quite sure. This is the story I'm telling you is factual, but I'm not quite sure if it was him under investigation or was it Siemens, the corporation, under investigation, and how he was involved in it. But what they're saying is they're trying to connect. Because when I say that is, I had heard, right? I spoke to a friend when this helicopter crashed, allegedly. I'm saying allegedly. I spoke to a friend, and they have a friend that has the in and the outs of certain things, and they somehow knew some information about this particular helicopter crash, right? And they were someplace else in New Jersey. I'll just say Jersey. And when my friend spoke to the person, they were talking about it because it had happened he said that was an assassination. That's immediately. So when the person said it to me, they was like, "Oh, that plane crash, that helicopter, that was an assassination." And I was like, "An assassination? How are you trying to make this an assassination?" Well, I come to find out just today, right, that apparently Siemens, the corporation that this father was the CEO of, it's the Siemens CEO dies in New York City helicopter crash days after prosecutor who led espionage case against Siemens was found dead in her Alexandria, Virginia home just days before this accident. So they're trying to now say, well, there was a prosecutor, the lead prosecutor that was bringing this company under charges of espionage, um, was found unalive. She was 43 years old. Her name was Jessica Aber, A-B-E-R, not Jessica Albert. I don't want y'all saying I said, oh, Jessica. She ain't got nothing to do with this. Jessica Aber, A-B-E-R. She's 43, and she was found unresponsive in her Alexandria, Virginia home just days before this. So that, it's speculation that it may be some tie into it. I don't know. But what I do know is I know that this morning, and this helicopter company is completely out of business as of last week. Now, what I found weird while I was investigating this was that after the helicopter crash, right? Now, what the helicopter crash, I believe, was Thursday, right? On Friday, this helicopter company started posting on their website 70% off for helicopter tour rides. Now, mind you, they just had a crazy crash the day before. And this next day, they're offering 70% off. And I was like, I wouldn't care if it was free. Who would actually, at this point, get on one of their helicopters for a tour after this just happened a day before? Like, really? Come on. So I don't know. But I woke up this morning and found out that the company is completely done. They're out of business. And this is not the first crash, allegedly, that they've had. They've had an incident maybe a year and a half ago. So there's been incidents. And, we'll see. I'm almost positive we have not heard the rest about this, right? Okay, so we keep talking about our kids going to school and these teachers, and we keep saying how either the police officers or the teachers, they've lost their cotton picking mind, is what my grandmother would say. Their cotton picking mind. Like, it's unreal the stories you're hearing about these teachers and these police officers. But now these teachers, I don't even know why they are bothering being teachers. I really don't. I don't get it. And whatever they're going through at home, they're bringing it to school. Because I just told you last week or so, that the teacher that was accused of having group sex with her students, 5 more students came out. So, and those students were between the age of 13 and 16. And this teacher was having group sex with them. And then she was married to a police officer and he found out. So now he's going around allegedly threatening the teenage kids that told their parents that it's weird. What's going on? Okay, so we're going to do this. Florida, y'all ready for this? Let me get a drink, seriously, because this one right here, man, okay. Florida assistant principal arrested after making 13-year-old student rub her feet like he loved her. Again, Florida assistant principal arrested after making 13-year-old student, which is a boy, rub her feet like he loved her. That's like her saying, rub my feet like you love me. Make love to my feet. Like, what? Okay. Just wanted you to know. Now, I'm going to show you. Well, I got the story up before I tell you the story. I kind of want you to get a look at the assistant principal. Seriously. This is her. Okay? This is Dr. Kiva Locke. I believe she's 53 years old, and she's the assistant principal of Lake Marion Creek Middle School in Florida. And again, she's facing multiple charges after she allegedly made a 13-year-old male student rub her feet like he loved her. Okay, so let's get this off the screen and let's get into the story. I mean, wow, what is going on? You mean to tell me nobody? Child. Anywho, okay. An assistant principal in Florida Medical School is on administrative leave after she allegedly had a student rub her feet while making inappropriate comments towards him, according to the Polk County Sheriff's Office. Dr. Kevon Locke, 53, assistant principal at Lake Marion Creek Middle School, was charged with lewd conduct and lewd offenses against a student by an authority figure after the principal of the school reported the incident to the sheriff's office on April 4th. So the principal caught wind of this and heard about this, and the principal reported the vice principal or the assistant principal to the police, right? The victim, a 13-year-old male student, was allegedly sent to Locke's office after throwing a balled up piece of paper across a classroom during a test. Okay, like kids do. While in her office, Locke told him to rub her feet since he didn't have anything else to do with his hands. Two witnesses and the victim told the sheriff's office. So they weren't the only one in the office. Apparently, two other people witnessed this. She allegedly took off her shoe and put her leg across the boy's lap. What is going on with these people and these kids? What's going on? You know, I'm gonna say something in a minute. While he was rubbing her feet, she allegedly scolded him for not doing it correctly and demonstrated how she wanted her feet rubbed on his arm and shoulder. She showed him on his arm and shoulder how it should be done. The sheriff's office said that one of Locke's co-workers heard her tell the teen to rub her feet like he loved her. And another witness alleged heard her say that she wanted him to do this so he would know what foreplay is for when he gets a girlfriend. She wants him to know what foreplay is before he gets a girlfriend. Okay, I don't know. Listen, this is what I'm going to say. Okay. Apparently, this vice principal has been heard calling this little boy sexy chocolate in the hallways in school. So she's actually yelling out. He's walking down the hallway and calling him sexy chocolate. Dr. Locke initially told the detectives that it was really just a joke, and she was trying to humble him. It's completely inappropriate for a 53-year-old woman to act and talk like this to a middle school boy. It's even worse, given that she was an assistant principal and her students. This is wrong on so many levels. I'm going to say this. I look at the teachers now, right, in school, and the teachers didn't look like my teachers when I went to school. When a lot of us went to school, these teachers weren't 20. They weren't 22, 23-year olds, okay, and they didn't look like that, and everything wasn't so hyper sexual with the world at that time. So hypersexual. Because I remember being a kid, 30 years old seemed old. 40 years old was just like elk, you know what I mean? Now we're at the ages and above. But then when you're 15, a 40-year-old is like, what? Now, I mean, you have some mature guys, but nevertheless, the kids don't look the same. And I think that the teachers are the ones with the problems. You're always going to have kids that's going to push the envelope, and you're always going to have kids that's going to have a crush on your teacher. I think it's almost a normal thing at some point of our going to school. At some point of being in school, we have a crush on a teacher. I don't know. I think it's normal. But what I will say is, now that the teachers are not so far apart from the kids, because for instance, you're speaking of high school, you're speaking of sometimes 16-year-olds, maybe graduating at 17, right? Then you have a teacher that comes in that's 23 years old or 24 years old. That's not a big difference, especially when you're looking at it and looking at it through eyes of attraction. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just think something has to be done with these teachers. I don't know what it is. I personally definitely think that the parents you have to have some type of relationship with with your children where they feel safe and comfortable and telling you things. You'll be amazed at the things they see and hear and know. But if they don't feel comfortable talking to you, you're never going to get that. The only time you're going to hear about something like this is when it's way too late and all the offenses have already happened. You know what I mean? Just want you to be intentional and alert. Okay. And now that we're speaking of schools, let's stay in schools. Okay. Now, okay, this one's a little diabolical. And actually, the mother is so smart, and I'm going to tell you why, right? Okay, so 5 New Jersey school employees fired after nonverbal girl with autism who's 8 years old was bound with tape over her mouth in classroom. Nonverbal 8-year-old diagnosed with autism was bound with tape over her mouth in the classroom. Well, she's already nonverbal. So why would you put tape on her mouth? So I don't understand that part of it either. Okay, so let's get to it a little bit because certain things just doesn't make sense. And I don't understand why these people are even being teachers. Why would you teach in special education and autism, different programs, if you can't deal with this? It's weird. Okay, so 5 New Jersey school employees were terminated after 8-year-old student with autism was tied up with tape in the classroom. The mother of the girl, Casa Spagna, told 12 New Jersey, the news channel, that her daughter was restrained with tape at Brackman Middle School in New Jersey, where she is part of a specialized program. Because remember, again, she's 8 years old and she's been diagnosed with autism and she's nonverbal. Okay? A resource officer from the school called the mother and told her that her daughter's wrists were bound together with tape. And a half an hour later, the resource officer called the parent back to tell her now her mouth is off or already taped. So I don't know what type of relationship this parent has with this school resource officer, because I don't know why the resource officer would call the mother to tell her that. But nevertheless, the resource officer called the parent and told her, listen, they have your daughter wrist bound with tape, and her mouth is bound with tape a half an hour. So first she called her the daughter, they got the daughter bound to tape sitting in the class. A half an hour later, the officer called the mother again and says, now her mouth is taped. Well, first of all, they wouldn't have to call me twice. I wouldn't care where I was. I could have been at work. I could have been in the middle of conducting a meeting. She wouldn't have to call me. If she'd have called me back a half an hour later, it would only been because I was on my way to that school. Okay? Because none of us send our kids to school to be bound and taped. And if you don't know how to deal with children with autism, don't do the job. Like, stop it, really. Because I'm sure it can test you. I'm sure it's a very hard job. I know parents of autistic kids, and I know it's not a joke. I know it's not a game. I know it can take a village. But this is what you went to school for, allegedly. This is what you're here for. Okay? So, of course, she received a second. So, apparently, the mother went to the school, and apparently they already had taken the tape off her hands and her mouth, right? But somebody showed her photos. They didn't say who. Someone else showed her photos, right, of her daughter, who is nonverbal, bound with tape, her wrist and her mouth. But in every picture, the little girl has on different clothes. So the mother come to the conclusion that this is happening all the time. because she knows how she dresses her daughter to school, so she knows what days these were, and these were all different days. So they're bounding this little girl for whatever reason by her hands and taping her mouth. Okay? This is what they're doing. And like I said, the mother realized it because she realized in each picture, the little girl had on different clothes. So you know that this wasn't a one-time deal. They're doing this. The school superintendent, Brian Latwis, of the Board of Education, upheld a recommendation to terminate one teacher and 4 paraprofessionals, none of whom were named. Okay, so yeah, they were fired, all 5. So one was a teacher, the other was 4 paraprofessionals, and for some reason they don't go into it anymore of why they were bounding this little girl, hands in her mouth and taping her mouth, and she was nonverbal. So listen, I'm not going to go into it. It's horrible. These teachers need to get themselves together. These principals need to get themselves together. It's just, come on, people, come on. Seriously, if you don't want to do this job, don't do it. And I'm going to show you another instance. Now, I know this is going to burn some of y'all up. Now, get ready. Matter of fact, let's get a drink. Let's get a drink. Take a sip of your drink. Seriously, all jokes aside. Because I thought this was barbaric. And I was like, really? Somebody would have to explain to me. They would have to. Okay. I'm going to put this on the screen and I'm going to take a sip of drink. Okay? Let's look at this picture. Let's get this picture clear on the screen. Okay? This little girl name is Tamara Hemingway. Okay? She's 2 years old. It says hair braid yanked out. Mom says she's taking legal action after no explanation was given. Okay? Now you can clearly see in this picture, all her braids are there. Boom, 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 same side. You see here, a whole braid is gone. Like, where is this braid? Where's this braid? That's the weirdest thing right there. Where is this braid? Okay, so I'm going to clear this out. Like I said, the little girl name is Tamara Hemingway, and her mother name is Mila Hemingway. And she's the one that took the pictures. And of course, she questioned the daycare center. Okay. This is Growing Kids Academy in Ocean Township, New Jersey. Okay, again, this is Growing Kids Academy located in Ocean Township, New Jersey, South Jersey. Okay, so a New Jersey mother says she is taking legal action against a daycare that has given her no explanation for how a 2-year-old daughter came home last week with one of her cornrow braids missing from her head, claiming they didn't know if the child had pulled out her own hair or if someone else had did it. They have no idea. No explanation was given. They didn't have an answer for her. They just straight up said that we don't know. And they're saying they don't know if she did it or if another child did it. But I don't know. I don't know how to explain that, but believe it or not, I used to have cornrows for a long time. People know. Okay, get into it. But seriously, I'll put this picture back up because I don't understand how it's such a clean, like if it was ripped, right? I would think that there would be some bruising, some redness. This is just what I'm thinking. You would have some redness all up in here. All up in here. It'd be some red. It doesn't look like it's any redness. It looks like it's been, I don't know what to say. I don't know if it looks like it's been cut out because you can clearly see it's the second braid from the front, which is the same picture here. So this braid is pretty thick. And you can see right here at the root where whoever braided it didn't have a hard time braiding it. She has enough hair. So, and it's up here. So how is that missing here with there's no bruising? I expected it to be where hair used to be. Especially if someone pulls it out, that's tension. Baby, I don't know what to say about this. It's crazy. I think that we have to pay more attention to where and who we leave our kids with. I don't have any kids, but I'm so concerned about you guys' kids. I might as well. This is ridiculous. And the thing is, seriously speaking, I come across so many of these type of stories. I just don't report them because I'm like, oh my God, who wants to do a complete 30 to 45 minute show of nothing but death, and harm. And I mean, but we have to know about it. And this stuff with the kids and the schools and the bus school drivers and the principals, it's completely out of hand. Completely out of hand. Listen, I love you guys. Again, like, comment, and share my video if you like, please. I'm asking. Don't make me get ugly about it, really. I'm being nice about it. I'm asking. I'm joking. Um, I love you guys. I want you guys to be informed. I want you guys to be intentional and, check on your friends, check on your family members. Love on someone. Love on someone. Seriously. There's so much going on. Sometimes people just need to vent. Sometimes people just need a hug. You never, ever know. Listen, until next time, I love you guys. See you soon. Actually, I can come back and do a whole other show. I have so many stories, but I try to break them up to where it's just like gloom. Because, excuse me, seriously speaking, it ain't that many happy, joyful stories out there, to be honest with you. Really ain't. But again, I love you guys. Till next time, peace.